What's up, Illumineers? Welcome back to another Lorcana discussion video, and today we're going to be talking about a kind of a buzzword that's been floating around the Lorcana community as of late, and that word, of course, is FOMO. And for those who don't know, that is the fear of missing out. And this video is going to be basically talking about, should we be feeling FOMO as Lorcana players with how this release has gone and how the prices of things have gone and how things might go in the future? Now, at the time of recording of this video, Lorcana is going into its second full week of its first initial wave, its first initial release, and by the end of this week on September 1st, it's going to be released into big box retailers. Big box retailers such as Target, Walmart, etc. Retailers like that. So, full disclosure, just like so many of you, I have been unable to acquire really much Lorcana product at all, just based on how expensive things have been, whether it be at local game stores in my area or online. Prices are just a little too high for me to justify buying them, and I'm kind of sitting here and with a lot of you guys watching this video of not knowing what the future holds exactly, and not having much product at the start of this because of those prices. And we're going to get into some of these things and talk about some of these things and try to work through them and figure out, should we be concerned for getting the game, essentially? Should we be impulse buying and getting things and buying things overpriced just so that we have them and we don't have that fear of missing out? But before we even get into it, again, like I say in most videos like this, that I am not a financial advisor. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how or when to spend your money or when you shouldn't spend your money. I just like to give helpful advice to help you make buying decisions that work for you, because I try to make those same sort of decisions that work for me as well. And also, before we get into the discussion, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video. We are growing every day, which is really, really cool to see. And I hope we can keep building this channel up. And hopefully we can keep doing more Lorcana related content. So let's just dive right into it and kind of talk about where we're at in terms of the game and prices. And I don't want to get into an entire thing about, should local game stores be charging what they're charging? Should products be charged be the price they are online? Because there's really nothing we can do about it. That they are what they are right now. And that's the first thing we kind of need to accept, is that right now the prices are what they are. And there's nothing we can really do to change it, so we can only make the best decisions possible to make sure we get what we need. Now, if you're like me and you've been playing card games for a long time, I'm sure you remember the sort of trading card boom that happened during the pandemic. And one reason why people have a lot of FOMO is because during that time, when people were trying to get as much product as possible, you would go into stores like Target or Walmart, and their trading card shelves would be completely empty. And I mean completely empty of any kind of game, whether it be Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh! Sports cards would be all sold out. And how did that happen? Well, the way this works is these stores, a vendor stocks these cards, and a lot of people, well, scalpers, get to the store early and buy up all the stock so that they can resell it at a higher price and turn a profit. Now, this isn't just for trading cards either, right? This happens when maybe a graphics card gets released, or when game consoles get released. You couldn't get a PlayStation 5 or a new Xbox for like what felt like a couple years because people would just buy them all in bulk and flip them for a higher price. And obviously that just hurts the consumer because you have to spend more money to get what you want, whether you want to do that or not. If you want the thing and they know this, you have to spend more money. And I think this is kind of the foundation of where people are concerned when it comes to Lorcana. Here's the thing. Lorcana is a game that has Disney IP, which is incredibly collectible, and a lot of people think that in the future, if they buy up all this product, they can flip a major profit 20 years later. Now, what I'll say is just because that worked in other games doesn't mean it'll work here, but that's not the only factor. There's just scalpers going around that want to get the game at MSRP again to flip it at a higher price. And I'm concerned that this is going to happen when the game gets released into big box retailers, that people are going to kind of not storm the store, but like get there early, buy up a bunch of products, and then flip them for similar prices that they're at now. And obviously that's not good for the average player. And again, there is a precedent to this. This has happened before. But just because this has happened before and just because I'm concerned about it doesn't mean it will happen. It all depends on how much product is going to be released into these stores. Now, there's a couple different things going around. There's this article that said like, oh, we're not releasing that much into the stores or whatever. And some people are saying you get that out of context. Apparently there's some stores who release the game a little early. I can't really confirm this. It's just based on what I saw. And there's already empty shelves, even though the game hasn't even released in these stores yet. And there's just a whole bunch going on. And it does kind of feel concerning. It does make you feel like, well, if this is going to happen, then I'm just going to have serious FOMO for this game. And I just need to buy up everything I need to right now in order to not miss out. And also, again, if you're on the internet or you're part of the Lorcana community right now, you had to have seen the people who have been fortunate enough to buy the product at the inflated price that it is now, making unboxing videos, posting pictures of their already big collection, and you just kind of sit there and think like, man, you know, they already have this stuff, which means I'm already so far behind. And that's just another kind of foundational part of this problem, of this mindset, is that we feel so far behind, not just in collecting the cards, but in the overall meta game as a whole. Obviously, there's not a huge meta game right now, but if you go to a thing, you go to a tournament or whatever at your local game store, if they have for Lorcana League or something, and you're going with your starter deck and maybe a couple packs you were able to acquire, and there's people at your locals who bought 2 booster boxes and bought some singles and have this optimized, ready to go competitive deck, you know, you feel very behind and that you can't really compete. Now, I will say, for those who feel that way, don't be too discouraged, because I feel like a lot of people are feeling that way because if you play on, let's say, Pixelborn, you can make any deck you want. A lot of people are playing the good competitive decks on Pixelborn in order to rank up. Not a ton of people have these insanely optimized decks yet. They just don't. That product has been too expensive. Singles have been pretty difficult to come by, and yeah, so I think you'll find more people in your situation than you think. Now, again, the question this video asks is, should we have FOMO for this game? Should we be concerned about not being able to get product when it releases to big box stores? And should we just buy stuff now and overspend on everything? And honestly, I think my answer is going to be no, even though like sometimes I'll even admit I feel FOMO for this game, because like I look at people around me that got all this stuff and were able to buy all this stuff, and I wasn't. Like I said before, you feel so left behind, and it's not a good feeling. But the key word here is patience and seeing how things develop, because I believe the fact of the matter is it can't get much worse than this. If we go ahead and look at TCG Player here at singles and sealed product, you'll see here that, you know, starter decks are still in the 30s. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, the Amber and Amethyst starter deck is approaching the 40s, because people kind of agree that this is sort of the best starter deck. And I will admit some of the singles have gone down a bit, or at least the kind of commons and uncommons, but there are still critical cards for any strategy that are a bit pricey. Like we see here, Lilo being a nearly $15 to $20 card. We have Tinkerbell, which can get up into mid 20s, and a whole bunch more. And while I do think the singles market has calmed down a little bit, I still think there are some inflated prices on certain cards. But I will say, when there is more product and more boxes are open and more packs are open, these prices on at least some of them, there are going to be expensive cards no matter what, but you will start to see prices go down on some of these cards, I do believe. And then obviously we still have the booster box in the 300s. And again, if we look at this graph here, how it's been at its peak, and then it's kind of been going down a bit, then spiking back up, going down, spiking back up, going down, spiking back up. It's working its way down, but it's working its way down very slowly. And hopefully once more product releases, while it won't just completely plummet, it'll work its way down a little faster. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much. I wouldn't panic. I do believe that you are going to get this game in your hands one way or another, and I do think you'll be able to find shelves stocked with this game. Maybe at first when it releases to the big box retailers, you might run into that problem, possibly. I can definitely see that, but I do think you're going to be able to get product. And again, this set was very, 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 very underprinted. Again, Ravensburger has said that they didn't foresee the demand that this game would have, which I'm sure you've heard my thoughts on that. I don't know how you make that miscalculation, but nevertheless, this is where we are. So if you're having FOMO right now, if you're having the fear of missing out, just remember that you're not alone. There's a lot of other Illumineers out there that have basically the same amount of product as you do. Maybe just a starter deck, maybe just some packs, maybe whatever you were able to get your hands on, if you were able to get your hands on anything at all. Maybe you just play on Pixelborn, maybe you just play on Tabletop Simulator, and that's okay, all right? Because this game isn't just going to drop and disappear, all right? Ravensburger has said that they want to make this game and get it into the hands of the players and into collectors and make sure that people are able to access this game. No, this release has not been good. This release, the allocation has been wacky, but that doesn't mean that all hope is lost in getting product. So if you're having FOMO, be patient. Be patient, do your best. We're almost there. We're almost at the big box retailer release. And again, that's not going to solve every problem all at once like some people think it will. There will be some stock issues. There will be even some price issues where the prices don't go down that much right away. But be patient, hang in there. And again, I don't give financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but try your best to not overspend on this stuff, especially if there isn't a ton of real sanctioned tournaments going around. I know there's a lot of sort of Lorcana leagues at local game stores, but try your best to have fun with what you have. I know it can be difficult. I know it's hard to be patient for this stuff, but we have to try our best. So hang in there. You can do it. I believe in you. So yeah, that's kind of the discussion. I know this was a little more rambly because this talk was a little more off the cuff just because like I've been seeing a lot of stuff kind of around the internet. If you're in any like a subreddit or a Facebook group or whatever, I'm sure you've seen it too. And I just think that as a community, we need to hang in there, be patient, and I think everything will be okay. So again, make sure to like the video, share it with other Illuminaires that you may know, subscribe to the channel. Let's keep growing this thing, and I'll see you on the next one. Later.